Okay, welcome to the SVARTA STUGAN interview. My name is Filip.
I'm Henrik.
And I'm Emanuel.
Thank you IDIOTEQ.com for making this video with us. The weather in Sweden is right now spring is happening, so it's warm and sunny.
At least it looks warm and sunny.
But I think that this EP is much more. The songs on the EP is much more like plain rock songs, and EP2 was more like a conceptual post-rock album. With it was darker, and this one is much more sunny and brighter. And I think that is like more an answer to EP2 than I don't think they're related. It's much more of an answer to EP2. When the EP2 was darker, and EP3 is much more brighter and funnier.
One big difference is also for EP1 and 2, right? Both?
Yeah.
We used computer backgrounds to make the sound huger, and then we recorded to a click. But now we stopped.
No, it's
Emanuel
only
refused.
humans.
Now
Only
it's
humans
only
playing.
humans. We only have humans now.
Well, the recording is happening in this order. I bring some material, and then we rehearse the material, and then we think of ways to improve the material, and then we have lots of fun for a couple of days, and then we record it. Pretty quick recordings every time. It's like from start to finish. When I bring the material, it's to the band. We usually have a recording in hands in like 1 week or 2 weeks.
Are we that quick?
Yeah, I think so. A month, maybe.
A month.
Yeah, so that's how it's made. Criteria. I think one of the criteria for me is that the songs are made in few takes. That's not a process that we make, that we press the record button again and again and again. So I like to work fast, but still it should be pleasing. I don't know.
Why do you like to work fast?
Because I feel that you get bored with playing the songs in a recording situation. You want to make it fast, so it's still alive. Yeah. And how would I rate the whole trilogy? I would rate it A+.
And you excellent music overall.
Yes,
Yeah.
for the teens. I don't know why I like experimental music. Maybe because it's exciting.
But isn't it about building an atmosphere, I guess?
Yeah, definitely.
You use some electronic instruments, or a lot of electronic instruments, like synthesizers and such. And you pick a little of this and a little of that to build an atmosphere, I guess.
Yes, definitely.
And try just to make it work with your idea, I guess, and what you're trying to express.
Yeah, and I believe when we rehearse and when we record, I mean, it's like anything goes. That we can all do
Yeah.
whatever.
Mm.
We can try every idea. There's no boundaries. There's no restrictions to the music making process.
And for me, I think that that's not so much for you two, but for me, I usually don't play this kind of music at all. So for me, it's like a lekstuga. How do you say that in
Playground.
playground? The playground is for you too, I hope. Like it's for me, it's liberating to do something that's very different from what I usually do. Because usually I play more like oriental acoustic music. So here I can play more with sounds and live out my teenage rock dreams a bit. And, so it's more like for me it's more like an adventure. And for you,
Yay!
you are more like in like the post-rock office every day.
Yes, we're in the post-rock office every day.
I'm more like a substitute teacher. Our secret.
I've always liked soundtracks to movies, and I guess that it's in relationship with the atmosphere thinking that we mentioned earlier, that it's really about creating an atmosphere and a soundscape for us to live out our experimental dreams.
Mm.
And pictures, I think.
And pictures.
For me,
Yes.
to make music that somehow projects stuff in the head.
Yeah.
My background. Maybe we should begin with that we have a common background in a way, that we were classmates.
Yeah, we studied music together.
Yeah, we studied music together, but with kind of from different, vad fan heter det då? In different programs, you can say. And I was in the world music program, so I play mostly oriental music, and I played also a lot of folk music. And that is basically my background. And then I have also done some experimental electronical stuff on this, like more on the side, and
A lot of noise music.
noise music and like free improv, like on and off. But my main instrument is actually the oud, so I'm not really a synth player. I'm just faking it.
Yes.
But this is the main composer and brain behind everything.
And I come from a really background based on different kind of rock music, essentially. Mostly experimental music, like Sonic Youth and different Japanese bands like Melt Banana and such music, and also a lot of Brian Eno and Frank Zappa. So I listen to a lot of music that has been unconventional in some sort of way, and I think that the unconventional thinking has inspired me a great deal. Du concur.
I concur.
Bye!
Bye bye.
Hejdå!
Ja, ska vi ta nästa fråga?
Ja, men vi får se något.
My background is, well, I come from some sort of rock music, I guess you could say. And my biggest influence growing up was the west coast of USA, you could say, in the 90s with the grunge in Seattle and further down south in California with the stoner scene. Caius, yeah. But also like classic rock bands like Led Zeppelin and such. And other bands, well, I play a lot of American folk music nowadays, actually, in a band band called Det blev handgemäng, which is the very exquisite Swedish language, and it means there was a fight, I guess you could say. And I also play in a band called The Bitter and Sick and Dialogues. Yeah, that's what I do.
The best band in Gothenburg.
The best band in Gothenburg right now.
Isn't that SVARTA STUGAN?
Together with SVARTA STUGAN.
What else inspires us? I think the instruments themselves inspire us. I think EP1 and EP2 was very much inspired by the computer sounds and the computer backgrounds. And then I think a big inspiration for us is the free jazz outbreaks that we do. Rebirth, Birth, Rebirth and Unbirth, the trilogy.
Yeah, and the red wine is also a very excellent source of inspiration.
And the red wine and the teas.
And the teas.
The fika.
And the fika.
Yeah, but really, even more for me, I think the things, the synthesizers and stuff.
Yeah, the sounds really is an inspiration in itself. Yeah.
And also since neither of us really play those kind of instruments like regularly, so it's always we discover some new things that maybe everyone else already knew, and then we're like, oh my god! And then we kind of build something from that maybe, and then maybe we forget it, and yeah. I was always very fascinated with the analog synths for some reason. So
Well, I think we missed Earth when they was playing here in Gothenburg, and that I really
was a
wanted
bummer.
I wanted to see them. And records, gigs. I know that a childhood hero band of mine, Fate No More, is releasing a new record. I don't know how that record is going to sound, and I don't know if I'm gonna like it as much as I did when I was a teenager, but of course I'm gonna listen to it.
I think, at least for me, it's I have a little bit too much to do to kind of stay in touch with this big, whose artist is coming to town or something. So it's more like when I go to a live concert, it's more like improvised. Like, oh, are they playing in town? It's always a shock.
Okay.
And well, I don't know. Is it the same for you?
Well, I guess you hear about like the big artist that is coming to Gothenburg, but I don't know if that's what you want to see. I'm also not interested in like the huge arena concerts. And in Gothenburg this year, I think it's like Foo Fighters, and we have the festival Way Out West, but I don't know if there's anything I want to see there.
No.
Right now, at least. But I think there's a lot of good music coming from Gothenburg. That I know that a friend of ours, Xenia Krisin, is going to release an album this year, I think, which I look forward to. And Tell Us Children has just released an album, which is excellent. I look forward to some albums that I'm going to be a part of, like Det blev handgemäng and The Bitter and Sick and Dialogues and Alexander Ringbäck and I think there's more. Yeah, but there's a lot of great music in Gothenburg, and it's always nice to see what comes out of this city, I guess.
Also some, not a lot maybe, but quite some nice clubs or like vad det nu heter, venues where you can just you know it will be interesting or good, so you can just go there when you have a free night.
Yeah.
I wish I could do it more often.
Well, maybe.
Book us.
Book us. If you want to see us, book us. No, I think probably we will play. I haven't told these guys. Maybe.
Bring out the calendars.
Maybe we will play in Gothenburg soon. Oh yeah.
Interesting.
But that's not for. And I think maybe
That's not for people.
that's not for the people to see. No, we will perhaps play in Gothenburg soon. We have to check our calendars to see if we can manage to squeeze it in between every other projects we're having. And perhaps we will go to Germany if we have the cash to do so. There are venues that is interested, and perhaps we will play in Germany.
We hope so.
Cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger.
But you can always follow us on Facebook
Yeah.
for updates. On,
Yes. And perhaps
gigs.
there will be a new release this year, kind of a special release for all your cassette lovers out there.
Just
to be continued. I can't even start to describe how excited I am about the new Twin Peaks season.
Yeah.
But I heard just the other day, actually, that there was some uncertain.
Yeah, David Lynch has. I don't know.
Yeah.
I read something that he has said that maybe there won't be a new season.
Yeah, and Twitter like blew up. I heard. I don't have Twitter.
Det var en
I
luring.
don't know what it is.
Yeah, maybe they fooled
But
us.
then, like the Showtime, which is the channel that's going to produce and show it,
Okay.
they said that it's all good.
They're still on.
They're still on.
They're still on. Maybe without
but
David Lynch.
David Lynch is he's a pretty important piece of the puzzle, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super duper excited about the new Twin Peaks.
Actually, the first time I heard it, I was more like, "Oh no, they're gonna ruin it for me." Because I liked the 2 recent seasons so much that always when they return to something, they always seem to screw up something about it that you love.
But you trust David Lynch.
Yeah, definitely.
At least I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I have mixed feelings, I have to say, because I don't like season 2.
No,
But not
Yeah,
really.
it's
Like
kind of-
sometimes it's good, but sometimes it's
Like
kind
when
of crappy.
James is on his motorcycle. Well, James, what a piece of crap character. But when he's out with his motorcycle and meets the Mr. and he gets involved in that murder, I don't know. That's just.
yeah.
But something.
But they make up for it in the last episode, I guess.
When the dwarfs and the giants.
Yeah, when the little people and the big people come in, then it's all good again.
And then it's good. But
And
season 1 is
the
amazing.
very nice floor and the drapes. I do love those drapes.
It's because of the mixture between mysterious themes, little people, big people, and well, there's science fiction, almost science fiction-like themes that are in the show, and the people and the atmosphere, and the music, of course, the music.
And
music
the
is
kitsch,
like
the,
almost the whole series for me. The music with the pictures.
and this like soap opera kitschiness
Yeah.
with like
yeah.
everything is a bit has like a sheen to it. But I think it's very, at least for me, I don't know if it's like that anywhere else but here. But as I understand it, at least from talking to like my mom or people who were there when it was first aired in the 90s, then there was like so many channels. So so everyone was just watching it, and that's also from this modern days. It's hard to imagine like everyone watching something like Twin Peaks, and they were like every day at work, the day after Twin Peaks, they were like talking about what happening, and, all the people, like the regular guys who won't like it now anymore. So that's also nice how they kind of I guess through these like soap opera elements and stuff managed to kind of mainstream this weirdness and this slow pace that is like that would be impossible today, I think, for such a broad audience.
Definitely.
But then they screwed up in season 2.
A masterpiece recording has to have I don't know, if I think about the records I like and the music piece I like, it's they're almost every time there's a almost thematic theme to it, to the recording as a whole. It is like the recording is one piece, and it's yeah, I think that's the way I can describe it. Like, well, it has to have like good songs or good melodies or something, like an attitude or something, but it's like one piece of music. But of course there are like songs remembered for ages, but you don't know which recordings they're from. So that's the other way around. Yeah, that's my answer to it.
Well,
Kind of a hard question.
Yeah, and I also like those thematic albums. But I also think that a lot of it has to do with like timing and luck. Because it has to come like in the right time and in the right place, so that, and you know, speak to an audience and speak to its time, I guess, speak to the environment in which it's released.
I think it's a hard question.
Yeah, it's a really hard question, and
But
you know, you think, because if we like recorded a masterpiece album, it wouldn't necessarily be remembered for ages. It wouldn't necessarily even be released, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot about like timing and luck, and then there's also the business, you know, the right guy has to, because it's almost always a guy, I guess, has to hear it and like, yeah, this can, I can like make money out of this, and you know. And then of course there was a different time a couple of decades ago, and like bands got to work in a studio for a long time when they were already experienced, and that of course improves the odds, I guess, for making a masterpiece, you know, that you get like 3-4 months in a studio, like do whatever you want. Then I think we could make
Probably we would make like 20 albums in that time.
yeah.
Because we only take like 2 days recording something.
They would all be
excellent.
Crap.
They would all
Excellent
be crap
crap.
shit. And no one would
No,
get
but
it.
at least if we got like 6 months in a studio, then I think we would record something that was like really good, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a lot about like work, and how much work you put into it, I guess. And you have to get that chance.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it is like timing and luck. It's a bit cynical. Of course, it's also like talent and well, you know, you have to make
and also the histories around the recordings. I mean, usually you have these icons in the music industry like Syd Barrett, and of course the Pink Floyd albums with Syd Barrett is like remembered. I mean, there's a lot of histories behind them. Like Syd Barrett, it was a really messed up guy, and you have Kurt Cobain, who in the suicide. I mean, there's a lot of like things happening around the recording that can help the recording to live on. I think.
Or maybe it's the other way around, that those stories come up afterwards, and he showed up drunk in the studio. You know, there's a guy in the documentary in front of the mixing console.
Yeah.
Like, he showed up drunk, and then he just went in and nailed it, or something. And you know, that can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like hyped up stories that come after to help the album become this iconic. I don't think the difference between Pink Floyd and us is that big, if I put it that way. It's just about timing and luck, and of course it's excellent music, but you know, there must be hundreds of thousands of albums out there that is excellent and also has all these great stories, but it hasn't just come in the right time.
It hasn't been hyped.
Yeah.
But I think also it's...
of course Pink Floyd is better than us, you know, I didn't mean like that, but...
Well, up to a point, I think. Before the wall.
But it's also, I think, like the scope of media today, and like the amount of music, both the amount of music, like new music being produced all the time, and the catalog of days gone by.
Yeah, there's too much music.
I think there's like almost no record that's made today will be like classic in the way the wall is classic, or like any of these really classic like rock albums, or
there might
or
be.
whatever.
I'm thinking about, for example, like Bon Iver's albums.
Yeah,
maybe they're not
but
these like mainstream, highly commercial albums, but I think, you know, they came in the right time and filled some sort of hole, I guess.
Yeah.
And
yeah, but it
I don't
seems
know.
also
Maybe
like
not in the same. Maybe not in the same way though.
No, I don't think so.
But I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I think that perhaps the first Mars Volta album will be remembered.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, but it's already old.
it's already old.
Yeah, but also like when you talk to kids like 14, 15 who starts playing like when I started playing, we also started playing rock music, and they play the same songs. It's like there was like so we still played songs. They were like new when we played them. Like Nirvana, everyone learned the same song, but they are still learning the same Nirvana song, and like Rage Against the Machine. It's like
that's because
somewhere that's
our
like
generations are there. We're the teachers for them now. You know.
Yeah, but I learned from my dad, and he didn't teach me like Come As You Are. I learned that from a friend. But their friends, they are not like doing this Mars Volta. Maybe it's just because they don't make like easy things to play nowadays or something.
I guess it's hard to say when you're so close to it also, and or when you're in the middle of it.
We'll see in 10 years. 10 years time. Or something.
Lady Gaga might be like the album of our generation.
Yeah, perhaps.
Perhaps, yeah. Or the trilogy of SVARTA STUGAN.
Perhaps the trilogy of SVARTA STUGAN.
On
Perhaps
cassette.
on cassette.
Yeah, the cassette. But aren't albums like dying out really? It's a bit like, I feel like the only reason, like it's also like a bit what style, but in a lot of modern styles they don't really do albums anymore. It's just the albums are just a collection of singles they made, and like it's us musicians who make albums, because we are the ones who like albums, but everyone I know who is not a musician don't even have a CD player at home.
But maybe an LP player.
No.
Or a cassette deck.
Definitely not a cassette deck.
No. Well, we're pretty fucked there. But the LP record is coming back.
Yeah, but
Or
I think
has
it's just the
come
people
back.
who would buy a CD. It's like the collectors who are still
Yeah.
buying CDs, and they of course buy LPs, but there's
Mm.
not so there's no like what's it, average Joe buying CDs. It's just us who make them.
Yeah, us and the hipsters buying the on vinyl.
Local
All the
produced.
hips. There's a almost thematic theme to it, to the recording as a whole. It is like the recording is one piece, and it's yeah, I think that's the way I can describe it. Like, well, it has to have like good songs or good melodies or something, like an attitude or something, but it's like one piece of music. But of course there are like songs remembered for ages, but you don't know which recordings they're from. So that's the other way around. Yeah, that's my answer to it.
Yeah, well.
Kind of a hard question.
Yeah, and I also like those thematic albums. But I also